Welcome to On the Point Podcast, a podcast for all things Overwatch with a heavy focus on League, discussing roster moves, weekly matchups, and the May Melee, y'all.
Hell fucking yes, we're gonna talk about the May Melee.
What a tournament.
Honestly, it was genuinely fantastic. This is the most fun that I've had watching Overwatch in a long time. And that should say something because of how much I love it. And it's not even because of who won. Like, this was just good.
Oh yeah, no, it was good all the way down, and it utterly destroyed my bracket from the very first match, so I'm good at this! I'm not good at this.
Most of my predictions came true. It was it was me going, like, literally the only thing I got wrong was who won between uh Shanghai and Florida, but then my predictions were kind of right. Like, it was everything about except what I said about Shanghai. Everything else I was right about.
Yeah, and I bet on the wrong Chaos Goblins.
I
It's not
told
just
you.
life.
I told you.
I know you did. I was expecting them to get a lot further than they actually did, to be fair.
Yeah, no, I'll definitely agree with that. It was kind of a surprise, but we'll get into those results right now.
I was gonna say, allow me that
Yeah.
because the Chaos Goblin matchup didn't fucking happen. So, anyway, I'm Katie, I'm the support main.
I'm CJ, I'm the tank main.
And let's get into the May Melee results.
Yeah, so the first rounds the first round was Shanghai versus Florida and Dallas versus Chengdu. Shanghai eked out a win against Florida 3-2. Dallas took a win over Chengdu 3-1. Both of these games were very interesting to watch because I feel like Chengdu and Dallas I feel like Chengdu started strong, but as soon as Dallas's momentum kind of got rolling, they just
Yeah.
looked a step behind.
Yeah. Yeah. Something,
Like,
something, fighting fire with fire. It's gonna be one of those nights for me, folks. Like, I love this, but also, oh boy.
yeah, like, and I know that the map Chengdu won was Blizzard World, but like, I feel like out of the four maps played, Chengdu looked the most evenly competitive on Nepal. Temple of Anubis was close, but Dallas seemed a little more comfortable. Chengdu in map 3 on Blizzard World had Dallas completely stumped, which was that was the moment where I kind of was a little worried about the odds of just going deep in the tournament.
Yeah. And I mean, double elimination, you've always got that always got that second chance. You can drop one.
That's absolutely true, but like it wasn't even necessarily me being concerned of them just getting knocked out, but it's one of those things of if you're in this situation where you take a loss of that kind, where you get counter comped and you just don't know what to do to break that gridlock, because Dallas looked lost on that one. They looked genuinely unaware of what the hell they could do to alter what was happening. And they tried a bunch of things, none of it worked. And that was when I'm like, okay, we had talked about this a little bit of like, if Dallas's plan gets stuffed, what are they going to do? And I was confident that they'd be able to bring out different looks, and so far that was bearing out because um throughout this match, they weren't even doing the Ryan and Sim kind of rush comp like at all. But it was seeing them just struggle here to that extent. Just made me go like, is this one of those times where a team has been like exposed taking the L the way that they are?
I mean, for that map in particular, maybe, but they can't all be Blizzard World.
Yeah, well, that's kind of what I'm getting at, is that like I was worried that like adopting a strategy of that style could derail Dallas later on. And while that ultimately didn't end up being the case, that was nerve-wracking, especially with how close Gibraltar was.
Yeah, and our Chaos matchup, even though we have numbers like this, was definitely closer than the numbers say.
Yeah, no, like, and I know that I said like once Dallas kind of got momentum, I was thinking of of one of the other matches. I misspoke on that because this was an incredibly tightly contested game that could have gone either way. Like Gibraltar was a razor thin margin between Dallas taking the win there and going to map 5.
Yeah. And that was, it was, I'm trying to remember if this was the Thursday night games or the Friday night. And I think that was our Thursday night game.
Yeah.
And I remember going, why are we still playing at 11 o'clock? What is happening?
Because this is dragging out like a DBZ fight.
Yeah, pretty much. With less filler, oddly enough.
It's true. On top of that, we had another interesting, just ahead of that, we had an interesting matchup in Shanghai versus Florida, which this was interesting to me because it's one of those things where I'm like, again, this could have gone either way very, very easily in a lot of cases, especially because we had like the third time consecutively that Shanghai went to a map 6. And it was baffling because despite the fact that Shanghai won and sort of broke my prediction in that way, everything I felt about them as a team didn't necessarily change as a result of that, because the performance wasn't exactly like inspiring confidence, but they kept somehow dragging Florida outside of their comfort zone and just like the entire time.
Yeah. And I'm trying to remember if it was Florida. We take a week off and my entire brain goes, good night, everybody. It's a whole vacation. I'm trying to remember if it was Florida that was the team that was having issues with, you could have won this here, and then you didn't. And then you fucked up, and then we're still going.
To a certain extent, but like the thing is, I feel like there were a lot of teams that I feel like were existing in this weird spot of like, okay, I don't know what to make of this. Coming into it, because like we talked about how Shanghai going into this, kept snatching victory from the jaws of defeat, or more accurately, kept making their opponents snatch defeat from the jaws of victory.
Yes. That happens a lot up against Shanghai.
Yeah. And
like a lot. And I'm also thinking of their reverse sweep in I think it was last year's May Melee, wasn't it?
I believe so.
Headshot after headshot after headshot, which is something I don't think any of us will ever forget.
Oh God, no.
And the audio being out of sync with the video just sent me.
Yeah. I Florida like came in looking fairly strong, like especially because coming into this they had kind of nailed down their ability to use the Reinhardt compositions. They looked more comfortable on Rush. But again, I don't know like what sort of entropy field Shanghai has around them right now, but like they didn't look better than Florida, but they made Florida look worse than them, if that makes sense.
Yeah, it's the crab pot thing. We'll drag you down to my level and we'll fight down here.
Yeah, it absolutely is. They did the thing that people got frustrated with season 1 Philly Fusion for doing, except they did it intentionally, seemingly.
Yeah. It's like, no, we're gonna go fight in the mud. get down here. I'm like,
Yeah.
fine,
Yeah.
fine. And so we go down there and we fight in the mud, and we have map 6s, and we keep on drawing Anubis and Volskaya, and like if it's a 2CP map, Shanghai's gonna draw it.
Yeah, which is, I feel like this was the most consecutive, like, 6 map. I don't know if we've had a team go that many consecutive series with a draw.
Yeah, because they did it up against Dallas the next day.
Yeah, which, getting into that.
Loud screaming.
This was so stressful.
You
But
don't say.
yeah, coming out of, day one, we had interesting stories developing. Shanghai still looked unsteady, but looked like able to destabilize their opponents. Florida Mayhem had a chip on their shoulder to kind of make up. Chengdu had fallen inches short of Dallas, and Dallas, despite getting the win over Chengdu, definitely did not look as dominant and powerful as they did against San Francisco and against Houston. Um, so we ended up like having a completely different like complexion to the games that took place on Friday than we kind of had in the previous day. Dallas went up against Shanghai, and once again we had another map 6. And this time, despite Shanghai still looking rockier in some places than I think they should have, they looked significantly stronger.
Yeah. I feel like this entire tournament is either people playing up to each other's levels or people playing down to each other's levels.
Yeah, and that was really interesting to me just because it's like it made it very hard to get a read on what the hell was going to happen.
Yeah.
In a way that was both exciting but also just confusing.
It's exciting, but it's also that, like, when this was in the Blizzard arena, there occasionally you would just get energy coming over the crowd when things would get bug nuts, and we'd all look at each other and be like, what the fuck is happening? Yelling and screaming and having a great time.
Oh yeah,
but
it would turn
also
into
just like,
it would turn into a wrestling venue. Like
a little bit, yeah. This is something where if this were in front of a live audience, we would have that chaos energy in the crowd as well. This is when people would start, they'd pull out the weird signs if they had them. They would cheer for weird things. Mm-hmm. This is when the odd chants would start up.
Yeah.
So yeah, we have fun, and oh boy, do I miss it. But yeah. Next year, man. Next year, hopefully, we'll have in-person events again, sponsored by the Gladiators in our neck of the woods. So, yeah, everyone out there, get vaccinated if and when you are able. Do it so we can have live Overwatch events again.
Please.
Do it.
So, yeah, this one, again, very, very back and forth, had another 2CP draw. Wow. Shanghai looked again strong on Blizzard World and was able to beat Dallas out there. But one of the things that was really interesting to me is how Dallas would consistently win Watchpoint Gibraltar, despite the fact that you would think, considering they were lacking a hit scan, that would be a weaker spot for them.
Yeah, because Gibraltar is nothing but sightlines all the way down, with the possible exception of parts of Point B. Well, it's nothing but sightlines all the way down.
Yeah, the thing is, Point A, long-range hit scans like Ashe and Widowmaker are very, very strong, and you'll see them in play throughout a ton of different, metas in Overwatch's history. And they're still pretty strong on B, especially if you're able to set up your defense. They can be very strong in watching the approaches that the attacking team has, but they could also be very useful for the attacking team to create a gap that they can push through.
And then C gets to be open air again. And again, that's when we all go nuts.
C, you can do it, but I feel like that point favors brawlier comps more.
Yeah.
But Dallas just, again, is able to inch out their opponents on Gibraltar. They dropped Oasis, where Shanghai looked to be taking the momentum back in their favor. And then Dallas, just anime protagonist their way through most of Dorado, and then just clutch play after clutch play just full held Shanghai.
Yeah. That I remember that one. That one was absolutely bug nuts.
Yeah, that was one of those points that, like, you are stressed the entire time, even if you're not rooting for one of these teams, just because it keeps getting that close, and both of them are just fighting for their life.
So it's good Overwatch.
Oh, absolutely. It was great. But Dallas takes the win. Fuck yes. Shanghai goes down to the losers bracket, where they will face the winner of the next match in the day, Florida Mayhem versus the Chengdu Hunters. This one, I was surprised at how strong Florida looked over Chengdu throughout most of this. I thought this was going to be closer.
Yeah, and we saw, like, correct me if I'm wrong, but a couple weeks ago, we saw Chengdu take out Shanghai in regular play.
Yeah, which that it lives up to Chengdu's reputation of, like,
Chaos Goblins.
but also just being a team that fluctuates wildly in terms of their performances. Like, even going into the season, and you can only trust Scrimbuck so much, but the opinion was there were times where they looked like they could convincingly win tournaments, and times where they would lose matches or lose maps to the LA Valiant.
Why must you bring up my ex? He's not in the notes.
I
feel you,
one,
though.
quoting,
I know.
and two, shitting on them.
I know.
So in this instance, we'd seen Chengdu, like, really playing up, and you start to wonder if this is going to be the form that they play at consistently. And this was kind of the first time we saw them kind of shift down a gear, I think, because throughout this, Chengdu started off fairly competitive, but on Li Jiang, I feel like Jinmu pretty much didn't have an effect unless he was playing Pharah.
Which is a problem, because not every round there is conducive to Pharah, and with a good hit scan, you can counter that easily.
Yeah, and
it's not like Shanghai has good hit scans or anything.
You mean
Shanghai, Florida. They both have good hit scans, let's be real.
They do. So in this matchup, on Lijiang Tower, Chengdu was just behind on control center. They go over to the tower, and they're able to bring out the Pharah, and that pays dividends for them, and they're able to take that point. But on Night Market, Florida does a really good job of stuffing Jinmu and stopping him from getting any real value on that. And that kind of continued in Volskaya. Like, Jinmu came out and they brought in Jimmy, but we ended up having a lot of situations where I feel like BQB and Yaki were just that much more effective than their counterparts on Chengdu. Leave did very well and wasn't, like, super far behind Yaki in terms of the stats on the Tracer, but he looked good in the other characters they had in play on Lijiang. But BQB was getting, like, I wasn't seeing Jimmy in the kill feed all that much, And especially on Volskaya in Blizzard World, it seemed like Yaki on the Tracer was getting way too much room to work.
And I mean, we've known that Yaki's Tracer has been a horror terror from pretty much day one.
Oh
So
yeah.
as much as this narrative is about Chengdu being mercurial in their performance, we can't discount the fact that Florida has been consistent this season and honestly pretty damn consistent last season too.
Oh
They've
yeah.
been on an upward trajectory consistently since season 1, and their upward trajectory has been steep because look at their season 1 performance.
Well,
So
yeah.
I know it's a completely different team. I'm just talking franchise.
Yeah, no,
Um,
I think having Kuki come in as a head coach has really made a huge difference for this team. And while they still had some things that they needed to iron out at the start of the season, they look increasingly strong. And I think what we need to see from them now is to have that confidence, really.
yeah.
Like, the thing is, I remember after they got eliminated from the tournament, spoiler alert, sorry. But the
Yeah, okay.
yeah.
You being excited about who won is a spoiler alert in and of itself.
Yeah, I know. That's
Let's
why
be real.
that's why that's why I use the like sorry voice about it. Um but yeah, after they ended up getting knocked out of the tournament, um their swing chip who is their team manager translated sort of the speech that Kuki gave the team afterwards. And one of the things that came up was that they didn't have the mindset of those teams that are ridiculously strong. They still get nervous and still get tense in some moments and doubt themselves. And the truly strong teams can sense fear and use it against them. And he turns to Slime and says, you know that feeling, right? That confidence that you had when you were in the Titans and every other team looked like easy pickings. And Slime says, yes, coach. And Kuki goes, do you think we're at that level? Not quite yet. Yep, I agree.
I
Um,
remember seeing that thread and it was so good.
yeah, Coach Kuki has just turned into one of like the most like surprise heroes we have in the Overwatch League, and I love hearing like his work and him talking to the team.
Yeah. And also, I want to say, props to Swing Chip for bringing this to us because
Yeah,
I think she is one of the more consistent. She's more consistent in terms of sharing the behind the scenes of the team, the stuff that's good to be shared.
yeah,
Um, and I'm grateful for it. Like,
yeah.
I'm not a big Florida fan, but I like Swing Chip and I like the stories. And let's be real, just following her made me miss Hawaii so badly.
Yeah.
And then posting all
Oh God,
all the
yeah.
little photos of the team wearing leis and sitting on the beach and whatnot, and I'm like, God damn it, it's been years.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, no, I totally agree. And I feel like the other thing that's so important about about what Swing Chip is doing and bringing these moments to us and translating all of that is for a lot of fans in the West, it's easy to, because you can't understand what they're saying and sort of lose a lot of the like finer points even when you do. It's easy for people people from the West who don't speak Korean to just not connect with the players from Korea because they don't speak the same language. They don't, understand like how they're expressing their personality. Like there's that issue of translation that makes it hard to connect. And at the end of the day, like being able to see them in this way and, it makes it very easy for you to root for these guys once you're able to hear their voice and actually understand what's being said.
Oh, yeah, absolutely. And I think just building on that, I don't think we ever get any of the all Korean teams in comms check for pretty much that reason. We definitely get the mixed rosters, and we get to hear everyone from that, and it's beautiful. And I honestly think that Comms Check is one of the best pieces of side content that
Oh,
Overwatch
absolutely.
League has started putting out.
Yeah, I love it.
Yeah, because it's in-game players' personalities. It's the same reason I put out blooper reels for my channel, because sometimes the really fun, ridiculous shit happens before or after the cut. We have at one point, my roommate did a minute-long rant on why Jigsaw from Saw should not run an escape room. And it was incredible.
I mean, I think that's really self-explanatory.
Oh no, but it was this whole bit about, why did we hire him? Well, he's really good at puzzles. Jeremy, he's killed 3 people. Well, technically, he didn't kill that. Jeremy, shut up. A whole big bit. So yeah, sometimes the best stuff is the stuff that you don't see or don't hear in the course of a normal broadcast. And so the fact that Overwatch League has loosened up a little bit over the years, the fact that they've started kind of embracing esports is different from meat sports, and we can be a little wild, and we can be a little nuts, and we can have our own personality, and we can take the memes that the community has created and pick them up and run with them. Every time someone makes a script joke or an Overwatch League is an anime joke, I sit there and go, yes, we've embraced it. We've
And I love that, because one, it's embracing the thing like that's unique to this and not trying to force it into something that it isn't. But the other thing that you need to keep in mind is that, like, sports has a tremendous fandom and a certain societal acceptance that comes with just time and exposure. But the other thing is, what are the things that everyone talks about, whether you're a fan of the thing or you're not a fan of the thing? You talk about things like Marshawn Lynch's Beastquake, like this fucking wild ass moment that, you know, registered literally on the Richter scale. And even if you have no interest in football, you want to see that play. Early in his career, you know, people would, you know, there would be mainstream interest around Conor McGregor's fights because of his ability to talk shit and then immediately back it up. And that, you know, makes people who wouldn't necessarily be interested in it, you know, basically I'm saying the things that have color and personality are the things that your eyes get drawn to and that you end up wanting to invest your time and energy in. It's the stuff that you end up really, you know, becoming invested in. So embracing that weird off-brand, like offbeat kind of personality and humor, I think is just like it's only a good thing.
Yeah, it's if let's be real, if the game that your esport is based on is about 30% shitpost by volume, and your fandom is about 60% shitpost by volume, and I include myself in this podcast in it because we have a very good time, but let's be fucking real here, then it's okay to have an element of shitpost in your broadcast, in your brand, in what you do, because your fans are going to eat it up. And I've shown comm checks to my roommate who does not do Overwatch League at all, aside from what she learns from me. But I cannot for the life. I think it was a bit with Super about I don't get cold in the arena because I'm a tomato. And I cried the first time I saw that. I was laughing so hard. And I had to share that around because it doesn't make any sense, but that's okay. It's hilarious. You don't need context.
The personality is what makes you care. Like, it doesn't matter if the person is saying something that makes sense or not, or if it's fucking hilarious or stupid or just gets you fired up. Anything that makes you like remember it, just do more of that. That's all it comes down to.
Yeah. And like the Great British Bake Off ones, the Overwatch Bake Off videos.
Yes.
Oh my god.
Just have fun with
the garlic cake. The garlic cake.
As someone who does a lot of cooking and a lot of baking, and like I have made things for you. You know the extent to which I experiment and take this seriously. I was like, I was in full on Uncle Roger, just no, 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 throughout so much of that.
And as a connoisseur of Nailed It, I was crying laughing.
Oh god, I can't, I like half the time I can't watch Nailed It. I get too mad.
I love Nailed It so much. It's such a, we're going to take 30 seconds and talk about Nailed It. It's such a fun show because everyone is in on the joke.
Oh yeah. Yeah,
That's the appeal. Yeah. We all know it's terrible. This is I make a joke about how I cook in silver and my kitchen is in bronze. I don't even have a metaphor for this. It's just bottom of the barrel hilarity.
Yeah,
but it's fun.
Yeah, no, I know. It's just, believe me, I am not faulting it in any way. I'm just saying when it's one of those things that I put so much effort into, sometimes it's one of those things where you're just like, no, don't do that. No, fuck. Let me fix this. No, but I can't. Fuck. Like that. Just that's how it feels watching it for me.
Oh yeah, no, you're seeing a disaster, and I am just sitting here like steepling my fingers like Mr. Burns and going, excellent.
Yeah.
Look at how much extract they're putting in. That's not going to turn out well. Excellent.
Yeah, there are some times where I can really appreciate it and find it funny and have that reaction, but then there are other times where I'm just like, oh no. It's a fine line. It's a fine line.
Yeah. So, again, Overwatch League doing their own, Zoe's being essentially Great British Baking Show, and then God bless the guys, going full Nailed It with their
Who was
cakes.
it that made like the fucking brain frosting somehow? Was that Reinforce?
That was Reinforce.
I just
nobody knows how that happened.
I've never seen that happen before. Like, I don't even know, like, chemically what the absolute, I don't know, like, what fucking demon entered Johnny's frosting. I don't.
It's the same demon that causes him to be just completely off on his preds half the time. His poor predictions. Anyway, for those of you who did not see last season's, I don't even remember what they called it, if it was like Zoe's Cooking Challenge or something like that, they're on the Overwatch League channel. You need to go watch them. Watch the original Zoe video, and then in order, I believe they did, I think it was Mr. X that did the first one?
I think it was either Mr. X or Reinforce. And
I think Mr. X was the first one, and then Reinforce, and then
they were the first two, for sure. I think, I don't remember if it was Johnny or Mr. X. I'm not 100% sure. You're probably right. But I remember Sideshow was dead last, and it was one of those things where I remember watching Sideshow decide to make like a garlic cake.
Yep, with a Pringles center.
Yeah, and it's one of those things where my brain goes, being again a chef. If I didn't go to film school, I would have gone to culinary school. I'm like, okay, that could be kind of interesting if instead of going for like a sweet cake, you made like cornbread and, you know, kind of worked that savory angle from the ground up. You could use a roasted garlic you could like roast your garlic to take off a lot of the harshness and all that. But that's not what he's going to do because Sideshow is a fucking goblin.
Yeah, they basically took three. Well, I hesitate to call Mr. X a complete goblin in the way that Reinforce and definitely Sideshow are. There's a sliding scale here. But they definitely took three people not known for their baking and made them bake on camera.
I feel like Johnny made the most genuine effort at it.
Yeah.
Like, Johnny genuinely, I think, tried the hardest to make a good cake.
You could have backed his entire thing with Fix You from Coldplay, just when you try your best but you don't succeed. Because that's what that was. There was a good amount of give a fuck in there, and it was just a disaster.
Yeah, yeah,
So
like
anyway, everyone watch these videos.
please
They're
do.
beautiful. They're just make sure that you don't end with Mr. X's because his is fun, but it's not the sheer scale of horrifying disaster that the other two are. See, you start with
Reinforce.
that one and then
Yeah,
you go up.
I feel like the sliding scale is, you have reinforce caring the most, like just caring the most and also just fucking up the hardest despite genuinely trying. You have Mr. X who just doesn't care. Uh,
Yeah.
and then you have Sideshow who just looks at everything and who just looks at his pantry and then says, "It has begun." Like
This is one of those. It's the XY axis of causes problems, solves problems, and on purpose, on accident. Sideshow is way up in the corner of causes problems on purpose.
yes, no, he was full on like gremlin mode. Like there's no other way to describe it. He's like it's what you know what it is. It's if you've ever watched his streams, it's what happens when he's playing Overwatch with Bren, and he's like playing Zenyatta, and he's like, "Okay, I'm gonna go on the flank." And they're like, "Why the fuck would you do that?" And he's like, "Listen, if they didn't want Zen to flank, they would have given him footsteps."
Okay, at that point, you need to have flanking Sigma as well.
Yeah.
Just take them both off to the side. It's fine.
I just remember there was one time where they're playing like defense on fucking I think it was Hanamura, and they're doing like the point A hold, and he's like, "Okay, I'm gonna do the prediction grab. I'm gonna wait for them to come in." He's playing Zarya. I'm gonna do the prediction grab. So he stands in the gateway as he sees the enemy team coming out of spawn. Like as soon as he loses sight of them, he just turns, fires his grab straight up. Um, and everyone's shouting, "No!" And the enemy team just waits. The grab just hits. Nothing happens. It buys them a total of 10 seconds. And then the enemy team comes in and they just get rolled. And everyone's like, "Why the fuck would you do that? Why would you waste the ult?" He's like, "It would have been amazing if it worked." And then Bren just goes, "Yeah, maybe it would have worked. You didn't shout out "Gon Bogotovnosti" in fucking Russian, so they knew." Like, Bren actually rage quit.
I think I've heard this story before.
Oh, it's so
and
good.
it's glorious.
We could keep going down rabbit holes about this forever, but we
Anyway.
need to get back on track. Yeah, we have to get back to it. We could keep going down rabbit holes forever, but the next game was Shanghai versus Florida Mayhem, and I feel like Shanghai's upward trajectory of just power and confidence was going up against a Florida that seemed depleted.
Yeah. Yeah, this was the only 3 Overwatch we had in the entire tournament here.
Yeah. And Florida, like, the only time they capped a point was on Kings Row.
And that's not really something you expect towards the end of things like this.
No, especially considering, that Florida looked to be increasing in, like they had momentum after the Chengdu match. But the thing that you have to, take into account is that the Chengdu match, that's several hours of playing Overwatch, and then you have another game immediately afterwards where like all that Shanghai really had to do was sit back and watch and warm up and get ready. So on the one hand, you could say that it's hard to say like what gives you more of an advantage, being able to come in warmed up and with that momentum from the win, or being able to be that little bit fresher and not having or not being exhausted by just the tension and everything previously. But whatever the
All of
case
the above,
was,
honestly.
yeah, whether Florida was just whether Florida was just kind of drained, whether Shanghai just did like all the right preparation, whether it was whatever it was, Shanghai came out swinging, and Florida just was not able to really make anything happen against it.
Which is rough. It's
Yeah.
just rough. And they've been consistent all season and for most, if not all of last season, and fairly consistent in this tournament. So it's a rough way for Florida to go out.
Mm-hmm. And yeah, I think some of it might have been, having that extra game to play. Some of it might have been the pressure. Some of it, who really knows? Because again, they definitely played more nervous, less decisive. It didn't look like the same team. So I'll be interested to see what things look like going forward. If they can, because they've been making consistent improvements. Now they just need to stay at that level. And if they're able to do that, I've got very high hopes for them going forward, because this is a team of fucking killers. OG looks great. You've got people that can pop off on literally every role around him as well.
We talked about Yaki, we talked about BQB, and never forget Gargoyle Overwatch. He's scary.
Mm-hmm. Slime and Gangnam Jin are both really, really good players who can absolutely get the job done even when under heavy pressure. This is a team that has the potential to go really, really far. It's just a matter of them being able to stay there. If they're in another tournament situation, come the June Joust, I want to see how they end up performing if similar circumstances arise.
And did they win any of our tournaments last year, or were they our second placers?
I think they were pretty consistently second placers. I'm gonna double check right now, but I think they came in they came in pretty high in a bunch, but didn't end up winning any of them. Okay, so
because I think the only one that
came in second in the May Melee,
against the Shock.
Yeah, and then third in the Countdown Cup, also against
which was Countdown Cup. That's right. I was gonna say because we had one in the middle. We had a Summer Showdown, last year,
they did not,
and that was
well.
Paris and Philly.
Yeah, the Summer Showdown, they got knocked out almost immediately.
No, the Summer
it was a 3-1 against Houston.
Yeah, the Summer Showdown was bug nuts last year in a way I'm not sure anyone expected, but that Paris Philly game was holy shit.
Oh, it was fantastic. It was definitely of the same caliber of what we got to see with the May Melee this year.
Yeah. So looking forward, here's hoping our June Joust is more of the same, but before we get there, we've got a final match.
Yes, we have Dallas Fuel versus the Shanghai Dragons in the grand finals. And this match was so razor close, and with, Dallas's matches being so narrow previously, and then Shanghai seemingly just picking up steam as it went on, it definitely made me a little bit anxious, just because it was one of those things where it looked like Shanghai might have the edge coming into this.
Oh yeah, no. I was fully expecting a map 7 out of this. Possibly a map 8 if we were going to draw our 2CP map again.
Yeah, but so we started off, trading blows the way that we did the first time, with Li Jiang going to Dallas. It was 2-0, but again, it was, not by any mean, Shanghai didn't look like they were getting absolutely rolled by any means. Dallas wasn't able to take the first point of Temple of Anubis. Shanghai wins that one out in the first opening 2CP that Shanghai hasn't drawn in a while.
Yeah.
And
they drew Anubis against Dallas earlier in the tournament.
Yeah.
It's just one of those okay.
Yeah.
We've learned.
They absolutely did. And it was interesting then when they get into King's Row. And King's Row, Dallas ends up playing into a Shanghai Dragons where they're using Fleta on the Pharah, and it seemed like a really good pick for Shanghai at first. They rolled through the first 2 points, had like well over 4 minutes going into point C, and then Dallas just said, "You shall not pass."
Yeah.
They just were able to cycle their ultimates perfectly, shut down Shanghai when they needed to, make some genuinely super clutch plays. It was just, it was, it just clicked. And suddenly Dallas was firing on all cylinders in the way that they were against Houston and Shock. And
Yeah.
while it was a very near thing on the defense, Dallas had, as soon as they got rolling on the attack, it took them a little while to get started, but when they did, they made it happen in relatively convincing order.
I love that Dallas Fuel, to kind of pick up their DPS needs and even things out, played some Soldier
Yeah,
76.
I love it
Just
too. And that was, like I said, it was one of the things that this Element Mystic lineup was so good at in Contenders, was just finding ways to make the absolute most out of the pieces that they had and develop unique game plans around them. And that was their biggest strength. And the question why I was very high on this team, despite the loss of Xe, I just didn't know if they were going to be able to do that in the same way at the Overwatch League level.
And then they absolutely did.
They absolutely did. And they even won the game on Blizzard World, which they picked. The map that they had been losing all tournament, they picked and won. That's confidence, that is style points, and seeing them like level up in this game was so satisfying as someone who is, one, an Element Mystic fan, but two, a Dallas Fuel fan who's been watching since day one and is so used to seeing like my team just find these moments on rare occasions, and then finally they're able to actually rise to the occasion instead of falling apart at the finish line. It feels like a corner has finally been turned, and it was the most, like, it just felt good.
That has to be just so satisfying.
It really was, especially like because I've been looking back at a lot of like the Overwatch history about the team and all that. Just doing a bunch of that lately, so it was just like it's the first time that like Dallas Fuel has lived up to the hype that kind of built around them for an extended period of time, and it's awesome.
Yeah, it has been an extremely long, slow burn, but still burning blue.
Absolutely. And I'm, really optimistic as to where they'll go from here.
Yeah, that. Well, we'll see for the June joust.
Yeah, like we will see, but I'm very confident, especially like as we get into the hero picks and that. We'll discuss.
Yes. Yeah. So yeah, I was gonna say, moving into the news, our first bit of news is with MA Melee, Dallas Fuel takes home the first title in franchise history. Yay!
Finally. Finally, we've done it. We've claimed the elusive W.
This is the point where I kind of grab Houston Outlaws, idiot sandwich a little bit and go, your turn. Fucking do it.
Oh, I have every
June joust, let's go.
I have every confidence that they will, if not win a tournament, like make consistently deep runs. Like the roster that they have, the coaching that they have, Houston Outlaws is a team that has a gigantic upside. And so I'm confident in that. But right now, I feel like Dallas and their ability to flex to suit metas, if other teams can't match that, that's going to be an interesting storyline going forward for this team's success. And I was still very high on them, but I'm sorry that I doubted them as much as I did.
Yeah. I mean, once bitten, right?
I mean, try 3 or 4 times, but
Yeah.
remember, I've been in this game particularly for longer than the Overwatch League has existed.
Oh, I know. I am aware.
I have had envious disappoint me many times. I
And
love
now
the
that
bro.
they're Element Mystic with an envious shell.
Yeah, I mean, still, I will take it because the people that initially made me like love the team and made me a fan, like they're not here anymore, but I'm still big fans of these people, and that there's a history to it now. Like the Dallas Fuel is an organization that has developed its own history and personality just beyond that initial envious roster at this point. And I feel
Yeah.
like being able to claim a title like this has really solidified it.
Yeah, absolutely. And they
So, okay.
have also solidified part of their roster by signing Pine.
Yes, the fuck they have. The big boss is back, and he is still in blue, just a different shade.
I was going to say, Pine's out here like, I will not be signed to any team that does not have some form of blue on it. Oh, Dallas wants me? Yes.
Yeah, so this is a thing that I'm super excited about because one, I fucking love Pine, his personality, his incredible playmaking, and I think his aggressive style is a really good fit for this Dallas team, especially when you have someone like Fearless there to act as the head of the spear and create these opportunities that everyone else can capitalize on. And if Pine can be integrated into that system, he could be a really big component. The thing is, though, Pine still hasn't played Overwatch in a professional capacity in a couple years. Like after retiring in like at the end of 2019, he came back as a streamer for NYXL after about 9 months, but he wasn't playing in a team environment for about 15. He wasn't playing Overwatch in a professional capacity for 15 months.
Yeah, he's gonna need to shake some of the rust off.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, so there's going to be rust that he needs to shake off. There's going to need to be, there's a question of will he be able to integrate? Will he be able to keep up the performances that we had seen? And obviously he looks great on stream, but being on, against people in ladder and then against, the top tier
Professional
competition.
teams.
Yeah, against professional teams, it's a very different circumstance. So,
yeah.
And it is a rare thing to see someone leave something for this long and come back without missing a step. However, I feel like Dallas's coaching staff, for what they've managed to do, has earned a modicum of faith.
Well, and it's possible that we also won't see Pine play right away. It might be a week or two before we see him in the rotation.
Yeah, there's definitely a big question about how things will sort of shift considering this considering the hero picks, the hero bans, I should say. But I'm super excited. This has the potential to be really, to just add to what is already a very compelling storyline developing throughout this season, and it just makes me happier that it's fucking my team.
Yeah.
The storyline is that we're doing well. My boys are in the main event.
Yay!
Speaking
it's a good feeling.
Yeah,
it is.
Feel. It is, and it's one that in this capacity I haven't really had since 2019.
Yeah.
I say with the depressed, dead-eyed smile.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, you get to have some happiness, and I'll be over here bitter about the Valiant. We're not allowed to both be happy at the same time, and it is long past your turn.
Yeah, yeah, I'll take this.
Yep.
I'm not questioning it. I accept this.
Take it and
Um,
sprint.
yeah. So the next bit of news is the boycott against Sabiolbi ended like pretty much the day after we recorded our previous episode.
Yeah, it kind of ended, and I think that was either the day after it began or the day after that. It was like 48 hours at most. And given the statements that all the teams put out about, we had some conversations and we're going to be returning to gameplay as normal, pretty sure the league sat down with everyone and went, listen. So,
Uh,
yeah, I think that was capitalism winning out there, but I'll take it.
yeah, and well, I think it comes down to a few things. Um, I think on the one hand, for you know, I think on the one hand, there is there's the fact that pretty much everyone outside of China was very much opposed to this boycott, and it made them angry at a lot of these other teams. So
Mm-hmm.
it is kind of a PR.
Nightmare.
As much as I think doing it initially was a PR move, but it's I think repealing it was a PR move as well, because it's kind of a nightmare for everyone that doesn't subscribe to the one China policy.
The initial boycott was to make you look good to the government, and the repeal was to make you look a little better to everyone else.
Yeah, and so Sabiel B, should Seoul decide to play him, he will be able to play without any sort of controversy coming back at him, and he apologized for everything personally. So for the moment, there was a huge outswelling of support on Twitter and Reddit in for Sabiel B. I don't know how much. I don't know how much that played into the team's decision. I don't know how much. Speaking with, I don't know what, if anything, Blizzard did to sort of alleviate the bad press, especially considering how much flack they got for their handling of the Blitzchung situation, and
Mm-hmm.
their own, and not wanting to be back in that same spot. I don't know any speculation that we make as to the motivation is just that, but for the moment it seems that the situation has resolved.
Yeah, we have no insight into this. We're just letting everyone know.
Yeah.
All right.
Speaking of things that I don't have a segue for, hero pools are back.
See, I feel like a little spider's no. I feel like a little spider's George here, in that I'm an outlier and probably should not be counted. But I like hero pools.
I mean, the thing is, I like them to a certain extent, but I think the meta is so diverse right now that it doesn't need them. But the thing is, they decided this policy before they knew that. Like, I just don't. I don't know. I've never been a fan of it. I see the utility of it. I see why and all that, but on the one hand, you get to see which team truly is the best coached and the most flexible, as you get to see who gets to make these transitions smoothly. But at the same time, I feel like we often see a lesser overall quality of play just because teams are forced to try and figure out new compositional plans, new strategies that they don't have as much time to fine tune and test. But we'll see what happens here. It's
And
back.
they've tweaked how they're doing it as well.
Yeah.
In that the hero pool that we have here is not only going to be affecting the next few weeks of normal season gameplay, but it will also still be in place for the June joust.
Yeah, and
And
that's one of
that
the things I really like about this, is that at the very least they have made it consistent, because Overwatch, I've talked about this in the past. It's a game with a shit ton of variables. One, there's a huge number of maps and a huge number of characters. Like with games like CS:GO, or you have a variety of maps, but what characters can do isn't really all that different. It comes down to the equipment that you choose to buy, rather than like needing to fundamentally alter like who is in the roster at a given time. And games like League of Legends have a shit ton of characters, but they have the one map. So I think having a game like Overwatch where you need to prepare for a ton of maps with a ton of different characters, and then also have to take into account the play styles of your opponent and the strengths and weaknesses of your own team, like that is a fucking nightmare to try and handle. So giving stability and making the hero pool be sort of a lasting change, I like that.
Yeah, instead of changing it up every single week.
Yeah, that
was nuts.
As someone who used to coach, that makes me want to just absolutely murder my liver with alcohol. Like, the thought of that workload is horrifying.
And the other change that they made is that any one hero can only be removed once per season. So we're not doing every other week Tracer's out.
Yeah. Which, in this case, she is. As the heroes that are removed are Tracer, Sombra, Reinhardt, and Zenyatta.
So fuck your rush comp, I guess. Let's see what else you got.
Well, the thing is, you can still do like double bubble approaches. Like, I think so here's a few things that I think will kind of make a difference here, which is, so first off, Zen and Sombra are two big tools that can be used to help shut down a wrecking ball. Sombra Hack makes them immobile and easy target. Zenyatta makes it easy for them to be burst down. So obviously, like, Mei and Brig are still in play, but that option is opened up. I think we could see sort of the double bubble like brawl variant that we saw Dallas use is a possibility. Like when they have when they've got the dive with the Reaper and the Moira Lucio, I think that's a possibility. I think pick comps are possible to a certain extent, just because with Tracer and Sombra out of the mix, that's one of the big threats that you would have to a long-range hit scan, but also not having Zenyatta in the mix can increase the sort of time to kill. You still have the Mercy, so like it's hard to say. Like, there's a lot of interesting possibilities that you can tease out from this, and I feel like these bans aren't something that is going to like outright cripple a team in terms of like what they can do. Like, the teams have become so diversified and the level of play and understanding of the game is so high now that it's not going to fundamentally, just hobble a team's ability to compete.
I also think that we are going to see, because we're getting this hero pool for the next like 4 weeks of play-ish, 3-4 weeks. I also think that the comps that we see this coming weekend are not going to be the same as the comps we see next weekend. I think next weekend, once people get a good look at the beta test essentially and see what worked and what didn't, we are going to see tweaking and we are going to see some very different plays.
Yeah, I definitely think that this is going to be a process of fine-tuning. I think that there are some comps that we've seen before that will come out just because it's what people know. But I think we will see some sort of innovation get forced here, because the thing is, having certain heroes in the mix make the lives of other heroes harder. Like, having a Tracer in play makes it more difficult to play someone like a Widowmaker or an Ashe, and that's kind of why those characters need to play super far back and get pocketed, so it's harder for the Tracer to get to them and kill them. I think we'll see some long-range comps come out, but I think we'll see a lot of brawlier comps.
Yeah, which will be interesting without Rein.
Yeah,
but Rein is kind of like the brawl tank.
True, but like double bubble comps can often be very, very brawly.
True.
So it's not going to be something kind of alien to what we've seen so far, I don't think.
So we shall see.
Yeah.
All right, continuing on, the 5th anniversary event for Overwatch has started as of today and is running through, I believe, June 8th.
That is correct.
And I have to say that Disco Batiste skin is giving me life.
I love it.
I know we have a cat Sombra skin, and I know we have they call it a Venus Moira skin, where she's got a whole ass pitcher plant on her back. And for those of you who don't know what a pitcher plant is, if you've ever been into Pokemon and seen what a Victory Bell looks like, that is a pitcher plant. They are carnivorous. She's got one chilling back there, because of course she does. It's like all these skins that should appeal, but really, I saw Batiste with an afro and that like open front jacket, and I'm like, yep, I'm here.
I also love the Black Cat Sombra.
Yeah.
I like that one.
That's good. Honestly, I will take the Diva Cat skin over the Sombra skin.
Mm-hmm.
It's a good aesthetic, but Catwoman has just never been my thing.
I'm a big fan of Catwoman and Black Cat. Also, just a big comic book reader in general.
Yeah. Yep. So yeah, different aesthetics, but just like that with the Batiste skin is the one where I'm like, yes, that one. Just put a pin in that one there. I want that one.
Absolutely. It's a fantastic one. I'm excited to play. I'm excited to get these. And the other thing I'm excited about is our last bit of news today. John Spector announcing that Apex style trash talk is coming to the league. And in the tweet where he did this, he had what appeared to be clips from a video of, the players of the Fusion and NYXL kind of talking a bit of smack back and forth. Carpe saying that New York Excelsior's strength is that they have Jonak, ... but that's it.
Yeah.
And then Guangwung saying, Uncle Mono, you got really old.
Oh, jeez.
And I don't know if this is a thing that they're going to do consistently, but I hope they do, because this was a thing that kind of, as they allude, happened in the Overwatch Apex days, which for those of you who haven't heard me ramble about it a million times by this point.
Welcome to the podcast.
Yeah. Overwatch Apex, prior to the Overwatch League, was the biggest tournament around, and they had a lot of vignettes that they would do with it, and some of it was just crazy fun stuff. Like they had players come out and compete in karaoke. Like that,
okay.
that happened. They would have these videos called Apex Open Mic, which would be like, it would be not just it would be a very well edited little thing detailing the comms and storyline like of a significant match or event. So it's like mic check with a storyline.
Wild.
It's great. I will show you one of these when we're done recording. But they would very often have teams. They'd interview players before games, and there would be some trash talk back and forth. Like, some of it was really funny. Some of it they got kind of mean, and it just always made the games that much more exciting, because like if someone shit talked your team, you wanted to see them get smacked. It was all in good fun, but it like gave that little extra bit of spice to it. And one of my absolute favorite things is it was in Apex Season 3, Envious versus BK Stars, which Envious was the initial Dallas Fuel lineup, while BK Stars had a mix of players, but that included Bunny and Carpe. So pretty solid team. And Bunny goes like, effect, that's not how you play Tracer. I'm going to show you how. And then cut to Mickey, who points at the camera. Bunny, I'm going to make you into a meme.
Oh, no. Oh, no.
And yeah, so it was often just really, really fun like that. And so if they end up
Well,
doing that
this will be
consistently,
wild.
I'm happy. I'm very happy.
This will be wild then, if that's what they wind up doing.
Yeah. I'm just and just that initial little hype video, which if they posted a full one, I haven't seen it yet. And I'm going to just check right now if they have. If they go to doing these regularly, I will be living.
Just comms check, but bug nuts.
I just remember
As though comms check is not already bug nuts.
There was one where they had LW Blue, the team that would turn into the initial NYXL roster. And they were playing and they were calling and they were getting really loud and animated. And I think it was Gamble just goes, Lucio! And then the entire team in unison, just six picture-in-picture boxes pop up, and all of them are just going, "Lu-lu-lu-lu-lu-lu-lu-lu."
Yep.
It's fucking hilarious. Again, I'm gonna have to dig these up, and show you once we're done recording.
I'm wondering if things like that are gonna get rolled into stuff like comms check.
Yeah, that's something that I'm looking for. But yeah, if you want to find any of this on YouTube, just look up Overwatch Apex open mic.
Okay. All right. That is all the news that's fit to print, even though we do no printing.
Mm-hmm.
And thus we get into our predictions for, I don't have it written down what week this is. It's either 5 or 6.
It is 6.
Yay, I win. I feel like because we had a tournament last week, I'm looking at this going, boy, that's a lot of matches. It's not. It's really not. It's the same amount of matches, but it's my brain going, that's many.
It's not what happened last time, so it's a lot.
Yeah, exactly. It's been 2 weeks, and I have brain like a sieve. Anyway, Paris versus Toronto. Now,
this is going to be interesting to me because, one, we have a little bit of a roster shakeup for Paris. Neptuno decided to take a break from Overwatch, step down. He wasn't happy with how he was performing. And so he's out, and Paris has a new main support in Dredro.
Why wasn't this in news?
Because when I looked at the front page of Reddit to just confirm whether or not we missed anything, because it's been a minute, I just didn't think of it. And then I saw the team logos when we were in the middle of recording, and I just went, oh. And then, despite the fact that we had to pause once or twice, at that point I'm like, if I just let this happen, this will be funny when we get to it.
Aha. 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 Okay.
Anyway, Dredro is a French main support player. He's French and Brazilian, I think. I remember I know that he's from France, but there was something, a piece of trivia just lodged in my brain. He's been part of the EU contender scene for a while, playing with Copenhagen Flames, Samsung Morning Stars, played for the Montreal Rebellion and Uprising Academy in NA contenders, and most recently played for New Kings, where they won Contenders 2021 EU Season 1. Yeah. So he's a very good pickup, and if he's able to integrate into this team quickly, I don't think we'll see a huge drop in performance because he's a damn good player. But the thing is, the Toronto Defiant, as they exist right now, are a scary team. And so I'm kind of leaning in their favor.
Yeah, I think I'll go Toronto as well.
Yeah, no, I think it's the safer pick, but we'll see how Paris adapts to having that new piece in their lineup. Moving on, our next game is going to be the London Spitfire versus the Florida Mayhem. I'm
Florida.
going Florida, but I'm going to make a little side prediction here, which I think we're going to see the London Spitfire perform a little better than we would expect them to based on their track record and the issues they've had so far. Both
I'm
because they've
gonna
had.
go with I'm gonna go with man, I'd hope.
Yeah. Yeah. One, because they've had a little more time to sit down and work stuff out. Two, because I think if we end up with, if I'm right and the Brawly comps end up sort of taking the forefront, I think that suits their abilities as a team in a lot of ways, especially that tank line. So I think they'll end up looking a little better, and we'll see if that pans out.
Yeah, this is honestly a team where I've just kind of wanted to shake their shoulders and go, come on, do something.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, no, and I think they have potential. It's just a matter of, they did very well in contenders because they had a strong understanding of the metagame and were able to execute it very well. Like they did well because they were a well-coached team. But to succeed on that score in the Overwatch League, you need to be at an entirely different level.
Yeah.
Moving over to APAC, we have two games that I have no idea how to predict.
Yeah, Guangzhou Charge versus Hong Sho Spark, and I'm just gonna go for Charge because fuck it, why not? I like them.
They've both recently changed up their coaching staff.
Have they?
Well, yeah, the Hong Sho, we talked about them firing their head coach, dropping Pajon and ORU, and then I believe the Guangzhou Charge, their head coach Arachne and the assistant coach Damon have also left the team. So right now, the only coach they have is Neko, formerly of the Boston Uprising and Toronto Defiant.
Oh boy!
Yeah. So, no idea how that's going to play out. I'm leaning in favor of the Spark. Just
you
because
mean the team that still has a full coaching staff?
That's part of it, yes. And then the other thing is, I just feel like they were showing a more a more strongly upward trajectory going into this little break since we've seen them last.
Oh no, I rather like strong word. I think we should keep that.
Strong word.
Yes.
That seems like a Homestar Runner quote.
I mean,
it seems like a strong bad thing.
Congratulations on being strong bad for a second.
Yeah. Well, I mean, today Day is not Labor Day, so I can't keep that momentum going forever. But yeah, I'm in favor of the Spark, though I very easily could see this going either way.
I'm here for chaos. I'm still going with the Charge.
Speaking of
chaos.
Yeah.
Yep.
Chengdu's
Shanghai Dragons versus Chengdu.
I want to say Shanghai just because we saw them level up over the course of the tournament. It's just a matter of what are they going to do if they are forced to, change a different look? Will that affect how they play things? Was it just a matter of them, stepping up when the pressure's on? I've still got questions about how strong Shanghai is going to be consistently, and by that same token, I have always had those questions about Chengdu. So I'm leaning Shanghai, but again, if Chengdu won, I'm not surprised.
I'm going Chengdu. Embrace the chaos, baby.
We'll see how well that works out for you this time.
Yeah, super well so far. Yeah. Next, New York versus Philly.
Philly.
Absolutely Philly, no question.
One, I think they've performed better. I think they have the better lineup, and I think they're also coming into this one mad after not making the melee.
Oh my god, yes. All right, coming back stateside, kind of. Paris Eternal versus Washington Justice.
Yeah, so I am leaning in favor of the Justice for this one. I think
Same.
Justice, I don't think, has lived up to the expectations that everyone kind of had for them yet. Like, we expect them to be a top 3 team, and they've definitely looked uneven in some places, but with a lineup this insanely talented, I think it's a matter of time before those things start to click. And I think on an individual level, a lot of their players have an edge over their counterparts on the Paris Eternal.
Yeah, I mean, to be fair, top 3 is real fucking crowded right now.
Oh yeah, no, it is a logjam up top. Like,
Yeah.
as the Overwatch League has gone on, teams have only gotten better at coaching and at building teams.
Yeah, so I'm also gonna go with Washington because why not? Let's try it.
Yeah.
Right.
Next up, Houston versus Atlanta.
Houston.
Houston.
Yep. Toronto again versus Boston. Toronto.
Oh,
Absolutely.
Canada, my home and native land. Except
See,
it's
I know
not.
it
It's
in
more for the bit.
I know that in French, and so hearing it in English throws me every time. See, it's the
No,
things you learn in French class. Yes.
yeah, I believe it. So yeah, I think Toronto Defiant has much more upside presently than Boston. We'll see how things look in this new hero pool, though.
That's true. All right, heading back over to APAC, we have Shanghai versus Hong Sho. This I'm going to say solidly Shanghai.
Yeah, I'm definitely in favor of Shanghai here. We'll see if Hong Sho continues that upward trajectory, but it seems like what Shanghai does very well right now is keep their opponents off balance. And for a team that their issues primarily seem to be coaching based, that seems to be a bigger advantage than it would be even normally.
Yeah. Yep, moving on. NYXL versus Guangzhou.
Guangzhou.
Holy shit. You
I,
really think
I,
you
I,
really think none coach with Left Choi Suwon is better than New York's coaching staff right now?
I would like to. I do, because I was going to say, just look at what has happened anytime the NYXL tried to deviate from their initial formula, from that LW Blue core that they had. Have they
That's
looked
true.
better for it or worse?
They've never looked. They haven't caught up to where they were in season 1.
Yeah, season 1 and 2, they were very strong, but they had a team that played ridiculously well together. They had a roster with a lot of existing synergy that could play together well, help make up for weaknesses, and play crisp and clean. And anytime they try to make them do something, anytime they're following an idea from the coaches that is to do something different, it's not gone well. And then Why Not and IMT have been a part of that each time. And just because the hats have shuffled around a little bit, I'm not convinced that that's going to make a difference here. Whereas Guangzhou, I have a little more faith in their ability to just pop off.
True. True. I go back to making choice of one jokes, but yeah, like, can't underestimate the whole team. It's just a matter of getting it to click.
Yeah.
Then again, I guess this entire match is both teams are just a matter of getting it to click. So,
It's true.
all right. And then we have the Battle of the Orange, the Philadelphia Fusion versus the Chengdu Hunters.
Fusion.
Yeah, Fusion.
I have no doubt on this.
Yeah.
I
And
pretty
honestly, anytime these two play, they use the exact same shade of orange for their.
ah
This map is highlighted in a team's color to show that they won. So I'm sitting there. It's like that. What is it? Hark a Vagrant comic where it's Edgar Allan Poe and he's just looking at a piece of paper and he pulls it in closer and looks at it harder. That's me looking at that, going, "Houmst."
yeah, no, like it is genuinely confusing.
Yeah, I know there's logos, but really the colors are where the shorthand just fails, and it's only those two teams. Everyone else, they've managed to figure it out. But for those two,
Pretty
it's just
much.
like, nah, everyone gets the same shade of orange. And I'm like, please stop. My brain gets confused. Anyway, that's my entire life. Anyway, Atlanta versus London.
Atlanta.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, I just, as determined as London might be, and as much as we think that brawl comps might suit their lineup better, Atlanta is that gatekeeper team
If
still,
if
with the
Atlanta,
weird
yeah,
rivalry with the San Francisco Shock.
yeah, just kind of scrappy doing at them.
A little bit,
Yeah.
yeah.
And yeah, no, like if they play to the level that they did the last time we saw them, I don't think London has much of a chance.
All right. Yeah, no, we know who's at the bottom of the barrel so far for this season, and it's London and Boston. God bless them.
Yeah. Speaking of which, Boston's up against Washington.
Yeah, that's not going to be a Boston match. That's not going their
No.
way. Nope.
Nope. No, sir.
Nope, not happening. And then finally, oh, you were going to say something?
No. I was just one deep. Nah.
It's just, And finally, we have Florida versus Houston.
Uh,
Lol,
sorry.
what?
I made fun of myself with the tongue earlier, but you said versus.
I was hoping you wouldn't notice that.
Oh, I always
It's the
notice.
end of the night and I'm tired.
Look, I am an equal opportunity shit giver when it comes to slips of the tongue. I will call myself out on it immediately and just accept what comes next. But I will also do it to anyone in earshot that I know well enough that they're not going to get mad about it.
I mean, nothing to do with the teams themselves, but this is dealing with Florida, a place, and Houston, a place. If I'm going to fuck it up, it's going to be talking about the state of Florida and the city of Houston.
Yeah.
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 Yeah. The Mayhem is the best thing about Florida, and I'm not even sure they're there right now.
Not a fan of Disney World, are you?
Oh, I like Disney World, but one of these is within my reach right now.
That's fair.
And is performing consistently well and hasn't disappointed me. Anyway, I have some thoughts about Florida and theme parks and COVID restrictions right now, but that's not for this podcast.
Oh, we could both go off on that, but we're here to talk about video games.
I'm pulling Houston for this one.
I'm pulling Houston as well, but I feel like Florida's going to be coming in hot.
Oh, absolutely. They went as far as they did in the tournament. They had a week to prepare, and now it's like, you know what? We're going to start proving ourselves again. Well, whereas Houston's looking at this like, we got knocked out of the tournament by the people who won, mind you, but nonetheless, we're in for this next one. Let's do it. Let's go.
Yeah. So it's like, part of that, I think, is, we made it this far, and they didn't. We can be confident. But the other thing is, we fell short. We've got shit to prove now.
Yeah.
So
yeah, I'm at this point, it's a matter of personal bias for me, and absolutely, I am in for Houston.
Yeah, I'm a little more confident with Houston, but I think that one's going to be a banger. I think they're going to slug it out.
Yeah. Oh no, last time we were like, oh yeah, this is going to be the barn burner match of the week, and then it was something completely different. So who knows? That might be 3 Overwatch, and our barn burner might be fucking a London match. Who knows? Our barn burner might be New York versus Guangzhou. We have no idea.
El Clasico.
El
Day
Clasico.
East.
Yes, the El Clasico of the East.
Yeah.
Oh my god. I just that one goes to 7 map. We have, we've got
I just
another
want to see
7
that.
map bottom of the barrel.
I just want to see that like photoshopped onto an edition of Journey to the West. El Clasico Day East.
No. Oh. Oh my god. Yeah. I feel like we have a number of matches, not all of them this week, but just in general that are like, yes, the new El Clasico. I feel like Boston London was one of the ones that we predicted to be the new El Clasico. But yeah, NYXL versus Guangzhou has could be up there.
Mm-hmm.
It would make sense for Florida and Houston to be the barn burner of the week, but whomst the fuck knows? It could be Philly and Chengdu.
It really could be. Like, there's a lot of good matches here, and a lot of matches that have the potential to get very interesting very fast.
It's some order versus chaos up in here. Yeah, this should be a fun week, and also, holy shit, I'm so glad we have League back.
Yeah, it's so nice.
This is my pandemic coping mechanism. So yeah. Yes. Have we missed anything? Do we want to do the traditional Reddit check that we absolutely forgot last time? Not that we would have picked up on the Sabielby thing being solved if we'd done the Reddit check, because that didn't happen until the next day. But
I'm not seeing anything else that we need to add, though there was something that we considered adding in here briefly of one player on a contenders team called Shikigami apparently went missing and his team was worried for his safety, but he has been confirmed safe.
Oh, good. I was going to say, oh, Jesus.
Yeah, no, he has been confirmed safe. So that's...
I am glad he has been found. I am glad he is safe. Thank God.
Yes.
All right. Well, CJ, where can the people find you?
At _rage_nerd on Twitter.
All right, and I am Katie. You can follow me all over the internets. And wow, I just completely forgot what my sign off was. What day is it?
I thought you could do that shit in your sleep. Fuck.
Usually I can. It's been weird lately, guys. Anyway, you can follow me all over the social medias, as well as on YouTube and Twitch at Kiaxet. That is Kiaxet. If you like reaction videos, etc., they live on that channel. I am also part of another podcast with 3 other wonderful human beings called The Rooster Team. It's Rooster Team Radio. It is available on Anchor and all of your podcast apps of choice, and we talk about all things Rooster Teeth. We recently did a huge 4-part retrospective of the most recent season of RWBY that Mark, our editor and host, who is an incredible human being, stitched all 4 parts together into a 7-hour-long extravaganza and uploaded that. So if you need to get through a workday, that's an option. But yeah, we have fun. Make sure to follow it there. You can follow us at On The Point Pod, which once I remember what the password is and start updating that again. Yeah, we have good times. And as always, we end with the important things. I know the CDC has released new guidelines. I know everything's in flux right now. What I'm going to say is, if you're fully vaccinated, make your best decisions in terms of mask wearing, and definitely wear them indoors when you have to deal with essential workers, especially if you are not vaccinated. Get vaccinated if and when you are able, and until such a time occurs, wear a mask. Just wear a mask, guys. It's good. It's good. It's helpful. We've been saying it all pandemic. It has also helped prevent the spread of the common cold and the flu, both of which also suck. So, wear a mask until we've got all this shit figured out. Get vaccinated as soon as you can. Be kind to your essential workers. Wear a mask around your essential workers. Be patient with them. They don't get the option to work from home, and they are dealing with people who don't always think compassion is a priority. So, be kind. Be kind to your postal workers. Support the post office. There are still shenanigans. Black Lives Matter, Black Trans Lives Matter, Black LGBTQIA Lives Matter, Black Lives Matter, AAPI Lives Matter. It is AAPI History Month, so learn you some history. That has not changed. That is not going to change. And of course, get involved with your local politics. Make sure you're registered to vote. There is some hinky shit going down, so check your registration. Vote in the local elections that you are able to vote in, because change starts at the bottom and climbs, unlike what most people seem to think about the economy. So, get educated about your local politics, vote in your local elections, contact your representatives in any way that you are comfortable with. Call, text, email, fax, carrier pigeon if that's your speed. Make sure that they are representing your interests. Be specific, be polite, but make for damn sure that they know, because representing your interests is their job. So, vote, contact your politicians, wear a mask, get vaccinated, take care of each other, because that is the only way we're going to get through this. We are so close, but we need to stay the course, take care of each other, and remember that we love you. Is there anything else we have missed?
Can't say that I can think of anything.
Okay then, let's see 9.